Captain Hyunwoo Park stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. The massive room was made of crystal that sparkled like stars. Alien beings from across the galaxy sat in floating chairs looking down at him. Their eyes showed no kindness. Hyunwoo's uniform was torn and burned. Black marks covered the blue fabric where energy blasts had nearly killed him. He had escaped from Colony 7 just 3 hours ago. 3 million humans had not been so lucky. Behind him stood Admiral Dongmin Lee, the head of Earth's small defense fleet. The older man's face was hard as stone. His hands were clasped behind his back, but Hyunwoo could see them shaking with rage. On Earth, Ji-Hi Kim watched through a video screen. She was Earth's top diplomat, a woman who had spent 20 years building friendship between humans and aliens. Her office in Geneva was filled with gifts from 100 different worlds. Now those gifts felt like lies. The council speaker was a tall creature called Thalnos. He had 6 arms and skin like blue metal. When he spoke, his voice boomed through the crystal hall. "Captain Park," Thalnos said, "we understand your people are upset. But Colony 7 was needed for the greater good. The Velkari Empire requires that space for their expansion." Hyunwoo felt his heart pound. 3 million people lived there. Farmers, teachers, children. They had families, dreams, lives that mattered. A snake-like alien named Ixtar slithered forward. "Humans breed too quickly," it hissed. "You spread to too many worlds." This was bound to happen. "We followed all the rules," Hyunwoo said, his voice growing louder. "We asked permission for every colony. We paid every tax. We sent our children to serve in council fleets. And this is how you repay us?" Admiral Dongmin stepped forward. "I warned you this would happen," he said to Hyunwoo. "For years I told Earth's government that the council only sees us as useful tools. When tools break, you throw them away." Thalnos waved one of his 6 hands. "The needs of the many come before the needs of the few. Humanity's growth has been too fast, too aggressive. The galaxy needs balance." "Balance?" Hyunwoo laughed, but there was no joy in the sound. "You call genocide balance?" In her Geneva office, Ji-Hi Kim felt tears run down her face. She had built her whole life on the belief that different species could work together. She had given speeches about unity and peace. Now she watched as everything she believed in crumbled. The worst moment came when Ixtar spoke again. "To prevent future problems," the snake alien said, "humanity should leave 12 more systems. This will give other species room to grow." The hall became silent. Even the other council members looked surprised. 12 systems meant 40 million more humans would lose their homes. Hyunwoo looked around the room. He saw aliens who had once called him friend. He remembered sharing meals with some of them, learning about their cultures, their hopes for peace among the stars. None of them spoke up for humanity now. "You want us to abandon 40 million people?" Hyunwoo asked. "It is for the best," Thalnos said. "Think of it as a gift to galactic peace." Admiral Dongmin's face turned red with anger. "Peace? You call this peace? This is conquest dressed up in pretty words." Hyunwoo reached up and unpinned the golden medal from his chest. It was the sign of his rank as Earth's ambassador to the Council. He had worn it with pride for 3 years. He placed the medal on the crystal desk in front of Thalnos. "The human species formally withdraws from the Galactic Council," Hyunwoo said. His voice was quiet, but every being in the hall heard him clearly. Thalnos leaned forward. "You cannot simply leave, Captain. The Council has rules." "Your rules," Hyunwoo interrupted, "cost 3 million human lives today. Your rules demand we sacrifice 40 million more tomorrow. We will not follow rules written by those who see us as expendable." Ixtar hissed angrily. "You need the Council. Humans are weak alone." Admiral Dongmin smiled for the first time that day. It was not a pleasant smile. "We came here seeking peace and friendship. You have taught us that peace is a luxury we cannot afford." In Geneva, Ji-Hi Kim closed her eyes. 20 years of work gone in a single day. But as she listened to Hyunwoo's words, she felt something new growing in her chest. It was not despair. It was determination. "If humanity withdraws," Thalnos said, "you will lose access to Council trade routes, Council protection, Council technology. We will manage," Hyunwoo said. "Humans are good at surviving. And if other species attack you," Ixtar asked, "who will protect you then?" Admiral Dongmin answered this time, "We will protect ourselves. And unlike the Council, we will actually protect our people." Hyunwoo picked up his medal and put it in his pocket. "We came to you in friendship. We offered our best to your cause. We bled and died for Council wars on distant worlds. In return, you gave us rules, taxes, and now genocide. He turned toward the door. Admiral Dongmin fell into step beside him. Where will you go? Thalnos called after them. Yunwu stopped at the great doors of the hall. He looked back at the assembled council members one last time. Away from here, he said. Away from you. Away from everything you represent. You will regret this decision, Ixtar hissed. No, Hyunwoo said. The only thing we regret is trusting you for so long. As the two humans left the council hall, Ji-Hai Kim began making calls from her Geneva office. Every human colony, every Earth government, every human ship in space needed to know what had happened. Humanity's time as junior partners in the galaxy was over. It was time to become something else entirely. On the screen, she watched Hyunwoo and Admiral Dong-min walking toward their shuttle. Their backs were straight, their heads high. They did not look like defeated men. They looked like humans who had finally stopped pretending they needed anyone's permission to exist. The stars were vast and full of possibilities. It was time for humanity to find their own way among them. 6 months had passed since humanity left the council. Sujin Choi stood on the observation deck of the Seoul shipyards, watching the biggest construction project in human history. Thousands of workers moved like ants across the metal frames of massive ships. Sparks flew from welding tools. The glow of fusion forges lit up the darkness of space. Sujin was the director of all Earth shipyards. She had built cargo ships and exploration vessels for 30 years. Now she was building something different. These were not ships meant to explore or trade. These were ships meant to carry all of humanity away from everything they had ever known. Her old friend Min Ho-yoon joined her at the big window. He was now Earth's Minister of Defense. His job was to keep humanity safe during the great journey ahead. The council thinks we are running scared, Min-ho said. His breath made fog on the cold glass. Sujin shook her head. Her engineer's mind was already planning routes to star systems far beyond council space. Let them think that. They do not understand what they have started. Below them, Earth looked the same as always. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. But everything was changing. In every city, people packed their most precious belongings. Families said goodbye to homes their ancestors had lived in for generations. On the surface, Hei Wanjiang worked day and night to save human culture. She led teams that recorded every piece of human art, music, literature, and history. They put it all into quantum storage crystals that could survive anything. We must not lose who we are, she told her workers. When we reach our new home, we must still be human. The first refugee ships had already arrived at Earth. Captain Wu Sang-o commanded one of these vessels. His ship carried survivors from Colony 12, the second world the council had relocated. Wu Sang watched his passengers walk off the ship. They carried small bags with everything they owned. Children held their parents' hands tightly. Old people moved slowly, their eyes empty and sad. They destroyed our farms, one farmer told Wu Sang. Burned our crops. Said the land belonged to the Velkari now. My family had lived there for 50 years. A teacher named Da-hee spoke next. They gave us one day to leave, one day. I had to choose between my books and my photos. How do you choose between your life's work and your memories? Wu Sang had no answers. He had seen this same scene dozens of times now. Humans forced from their homes, their lives destroyed by council decisions. In the Martian Parliament, President Yoon Seo-lim spoke to all human colonies through quantum broadcasts. Her voice reached every human world in the galaxy. We tried their way, she said. We followed their rules. We bowed to their judgment, no more. Humanity will make its own path now, far from their reach, far from their cruelty. The Exodus fleet grew larger every day. Colony ships big enough to hold 1 million people. Manufacturing ships that could build anything humanity needed. Research vessels filled with Earth's smartest scientists. Agricultural ships carrying seeds from every plant on Earth. But something puzzled the Council's spy networks. They expected humanity to build warships. They waited for news of massive military fleets. Instead, they saw only civilian vessels and light escort ships. The aliens did not understand. They thought in terms of conquest and war. They could not imagine a species that chose to leave rather than fight. In her orbital factory, Sujin worked on the designs for the greatest ships of all. These were not just colony vessels. They were entire worlds built from metal and crystal, cities that could travel between the stars. Each ship must be self-sufficient, she explained to her design team. If something happens to one ship, the others must survive. We will not put all our eggs in one basket ever again. Young engineer Bo Kyung Kim raised his hand. What about weapons? Surely we need some way to defend ourselves. Soo-jin considered this. Defense, yes, but not conquest. We will build shields that can stop any attack. We will build ships that can outrun any enemy. But we will not build weapons meant to destroy worlds. Why not? Asked another engineer. The Council destroyed Colony 7. They deserve to pay. Perhaps, Soo-jin said. But revenge is a poison that destroys the one who drinks it. We will not become what we hate. Meanwhile, on Earth's moon, scientist Sang-wook Kim made a discovery that would change everything. He was working on new forms of space travel when he found something incredible. I have found a way to travel faster than light without using hyperspace, he told Soo-jin over the communicator. Council ships use hyperspace lanes that can be tracked and followed. But this new method makes us invisible to their sensors. Soo-jin felt her heart race. How fast? Fast enough to reach the galaxy's edge in months instead of years. Fast enough to disappear completely. The news spread quickly through the fleet construction teams. Hope began to replace fear. Humanity would not just escape the Council's reach. They would go so far that the aliens could never find them. But the most important development was happening in the hearts of ordinary humans. In factories and farms, in schools and hospitals, people were changing. The grief of losing their worlds was turning into determination to build something better. Mechanic Jin-soo Park worked 18-hour days building life support systems. My daughter will grow up free, he told his tired crew. She will never bow to aliens who see her as less than nothing. Teacher Min-young Lee prepared educational programs for the journey. Our children will learn the truth, she said. They will know that we left not because we were weak, but because we were strong enough to choose our own destiny. Dr. Chung Soo-yoon organized medical supplies for the long trip. We will carry healing, not harm, he decided. When we meet new species, we will offer medicine, not weapons. As the great ships neared completion, a new Earth government formed. It was different from anything humans had tried before. Every decision was made with one question. Is this good for all humanity? There were no more nations, no more borders. Earth had become one people with one dream, to find a home among the stars where they could live in peace. But this was not the peace the Council offered. That had been the peace of the grave, where the weak stayed quiet while the strong took everything. This was different. This was the peace that came from strength and wisdom working together. The day finally came when the first great ships were ready to launch. Millions of humans would soon leave Earth forever. They carried with them the seeds of a new civilization. As Soo-jin watched the final preparations, she thought about the future. Somewhere out there beyond Council space, humanity would build new worlds. They would meet new species and offer friendship instead of domination. The Council had taught them that peace was weakness. Soon, humanity would teach the galaxy what real peace looked like. 2 years had passed since the Great Exodus began. Daehyun Bae stood on the bridge of the lead colony ship New Horizon, watching as their destination came into view. As the chief navigator for the Exodus fleet, he had spent months calculating the perfect place to go. They needed somewhere so far from Council space that even the fastest alien scouts would take decades to reach it. The star system before them was perfect. 4 worlds that could support human life, rich asteroid belts full of metals and gas giants perfect for fuel. Best of all, it sat at the crossing of several natural space currents that would make it easy for humans to spread even further from the galactic core. It is beautiful, whispered Captain So-min Park, the New Horizons commander. Through the main window they could see a blue and green world that looked almost like Earth. Dr. So-young Hwang, humanity's best expert on alien life, made the first amazing discovery when they landed on the main planet. She had expected to find empty wilderness or maybe simple animals. Instead, she found something incredible. "Commander," she called over her radio, excitement clear in her voice. "You need to see this." She led a team to what looked like a vast garden. But this was not a natural forest. The trees were planted in perfect patterns. Rivers had been guided into elegant curves. Mountains had been carved into beautiful shapes. "This is not natural," So-young said. "Someone designed this entire continent like a work of art." Her scanners detected something even more amazing. Hidden machines maintained everything. They cleaned the air, purified the water, and kept the plants healthy. The technology was so advanced that it seemed like magic. "Who built this?" asked her assistant, geologist Junho Lee. The answer came when they found a crystal monument in the center of the garden continent. When So Young touched it, the crystal began to glow. Images appeared in the air, showing the history of this world. Long ago, a species called the ethereals had lived here. They had evolved beyond physical bodies, becoming beings of pure energy. Before they left this dimension, they had transformed their world into a perfect garden and left it as a gift for whoever came next. The machines scan any new arrivals, So Young reported to Fleet Commander Jamin Kung. When we landed, they analyzed human needs and began adjusting the atmosphere to match what we require. It is as if they knew we were coming. Back in Council space, young Jae-moon worked in secret. He had stayed behind on Earth to spy on alien communications through hidden quantum relays. What he discovered shocked him. The Council was falling apart without humanity. Human factories had made most of the goods that kept alien worlds running. Human scientists had developed the technologies that made modern life possible. Human diplomats had solved disputes between species that hated each other. Now all of that was gone. The Velkari Empire and the Centaurian Republic are preparing for war. Young Jae reported to Earth's remaining government. Without human mediators, they cannot resolve their border disputes. Even worse, the alien economy was collapsing. Worlds that had depended on human-made goods were running out of supplies. Space stations were shutting down because human engineers were no longer there to maintain them. They need us more than we ever needed them, Young Jae realized. In the new star system, humanity began the greatest building project in history. Mi Kyung-seo led the Agricultural Council as they started converting the 4 worlds for different purposes. The first world became their new home, where cities rose alongside the ancient gardens. The second world was transformed into a massive factory, where humans could build everything they needed. The third world became a center of learning, where scientists studied the mysteries of the universe. The fourth world was kept as a nature preserve, where earth animals and plants could live in their new home. We will not make the Council's mistakes, Mi Kyung told her workers. We will not take more than we need. We will not destroy worlds for profit. We will be gardeners, not conquerors. The most important breakthrough came in the research facilities on the third world. Sang-wook Kim, who had discovered the new faster-than-light travel, made an even bigger discovery. By studying the ethereal technology, he learned to create ships that did not use hyperspace at all. Instead, they folded space itself, making journeys that once took months happen in hours. This changes everything, he told Fleet Commander Jamin. We can explore the entire galaxy rim and the Council will never detect us. We are truly invisible to them now. News of their success spread through the fleet. Families that had left Earth in sadness now looked forward with hope. Children who had been born during the journey would grow up in a world where humans made their own choices. Teacher Hee-jin Park, no relation to the former ambassador, organized schools on every ship and colony. Our children must learn about the old Earth, she said, but they must also learn to be citizens of the galaxy. We will meet other species out here, and we must be ready to treat them with respect. The first test of this new attitude came sooner than expected. A small alien ship appeared at the edge of their system. It was damaged and leaking air. The crew inside was dying. Council protocol says we should capture them for questioning, suggested Security Chief Min Jun. Oh. Fleet Commander Jae-min shook his head. We are not the Council. Send rescue ships immediately. The aliens were a species called the Quell, small blue beings with 4 arms and large eyes. They had been fleeing from Velkari raiders when their ship broke down. Dr. Kyung-soo Han, the fleet's chief medical officer, worked to save the injured aliens. Their biology is different from ours, he explained, but the principles of healing are the same. When the Quell captain, Rindar, recovered, he was amazed by human kindness. You saved us, he said through a translation device. Why? We are nothing to you. Because it was the right thing to do, Jae-min replied simply. Rindar's eyes widened. We have heard stories of humans. The Council said you were dangerous, aggressive, to be feared. The Council lies about many things, Jamin said. Over the following weeks, more alien refugees found their way to human space. Word was spreading that there was a place beyond Council reach where species could live in peace. A group of Zephyrians arrived, fleeing religious persecution. A family of rock-like granite beings sought shelter from economic collapse on their homeworld. Even a few Council species began to defect. tired of the corruption and cruelty of the old system. To each group, humans offered the same thing: safety, help, and a chance to build a new life. "We ask only one thing," Jamin told each new arrival: "help others as we have helped you. This is how we will build a better galaxy." The refugees were amazed. They had expected to be enslaved or used as cheap labor, as the Council did with weaker species. Instead, they found themselves welcomed as equals. The ethereal technology revealed its greatest secret when Dr. So Young made contact with the energy beings themselves. They appeared as shimmering lights in the research stations, speaking directly to human minds. "Your species shows promise," the ethereal prime communicated. "You have the wisdom to be gardeners of civilization, not its destroyers. We offer you knowledge not as masters but as teachers." They shared the accumulated wisdom of 1,000 civilizations. Most had fallen to the same pride and cruelty that was now destroying the Council. But a few had risen above such weaknesses to become protectors of life throughout the galaxy. "Power without wisdom destroys all who touch it," the ethereals taught. "But wisdom without power cannot protect the innocent. Humanity has shown both. Choose carefully what you become." As the third year of the Exodus ended, humanity had built something remarkable. Their new worlds were thriving. Their alliance of refugee species was growing stronger. Their technology was advancing beyond anything the Council possessed. But most importantly, they had kept their humanity. They had not become conquerors or slavers. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before: a powerful civilization that used its strength to protect rather than exploit. In Council space, the wars were spreading. Species that had lived in peace for centuries were now fighting over the scraps of a collapsing empire. Humanity watched from their distant sanctuary and prepared to offer a different choice to those who would listen. 3 years after humanity's departure, Council Speaker Thalnos stood in the great crystal hall that had once been the center of galactic power. Now it was nearly empty. Half the seats were vacant. The species that remained looked tired and afraid. The magnificent chamber showed signs of neglect. Cracks appeared in the crystal walls. The floating platforms that held Council members flickered and sparked. Without human engineers to maintain them, even the most basic systems were failing. "We must face the truth," Thalnos announced to the nearly empty hall. "Our civilization is collapsing." In the back of the chamber, Ambassador Insu Chai watched silently. He was one of the few humans who had stayed behind to observe the Council's downfall. Every day he sent reports to humanity's new worlds, documenting the destruction that followed their departure. The numbers were devastating. Trade between worlds had dropped by 70%. 12-star systems were at war. Food shortages affected 40 colonies. Technology that had worked perfectly for decades was breaking down without human maintenance. "The Velkari-Centaurian War has consumed both empires," reported Intelligence Chief Mokhtar, his scaled face showing exhaustion. "They fight over resources that no longer exist. Their fleets destroy each other while their worlds starve." Council member Ixtar, the snake-like being who had demanded humanity's exile, coiled nervously in his floating chair. "This is temporary," he hissed. "We can rebuild." "We can replace what we lost with what?" snapped Velthara, a representative of the spider-like Arcani. "Humans built the factories that made our goods. They designed the computers that run our cities. They solved the problems that kept our species from killing each other." In deep space, patrol fleets searched desperately for humanity's new home. Captain Dalmar of the Centaurian Navy led the largest search expedition. His orders were simple: find the humans and bring them back by any means necessary. For months, Dalmar's ships followed false trails and empty leads. They found abandoned human outposts with messages saying "gone fishing." They discovered automated beacons playing human music, but no signs of where the Exodus fleet had gone. "It is impossible," Dalmar told his crew. "An entire species cannot simply vanish." But humanity had done exactly that. Their new faster-than-light travel left no traces in hyperspace. Their ships were invisible to Council sensors. They had become ghosts in the galaxy. The search fleets did find evidence of human activity, but not what they expected. On the rim worlds, alien refugees told stories of mysterious ships that appeared without warning. These ships brought medicine to plague worlds, food to starving colonies, and rescue to those trapped by war. "They came like angels," whispered a Quell survivor on the world of Nexus 7. My people were dying of the crystal plague. Nothing could cure it. Then human doctors arrived with medicine that saved us all. Why would they help you? Dalamar demanded. Humans are our enemies now. The Quell refugee looked confused. They said they helped because it was right. They asked for nothing in return. Similar reports came from across the galaxy's edge. Humans had been seen helping dozens of species, always appearing suddenly and disappearing just as quickly. They never stayed long enough to be caught or questioned. Back on the Council homeworld, riots filled the streets. Citizens who had once praised the exile of humanity now demanded answers. The mighty Velkari Empire was tearing itself apart. General Velkash, who had ordered the attack on Colony 7, found himself facing war crimes trials from his own people. The expansion was supposed to bring us glory, shouted angry Velkari protesters. Instead, it brought us war and ruin. The economic collapse affected every aspect of alien life. Space stations shut down for lack of maintenance. Trade routes became hunting grounds for pirates. Worlds that had been garden paradises turned into wastelands as their life support systems failed. We took them for granted, admitted Counselor Zek Thul of the Granite Collective. We treated humans like useful servants instead of partners. Now we see what we truly lost. In Humanity's New Space, President Chan Wu-Yu addressed the Colonial Assembly. The government of the Human Alliance operated on principles learned from the Council's failures. Every decision was made with the welfare of all citizens in mind. We now have 47 species in our alliance, he announced to cheers from the diverse audience. Each brings their own gifts to our community. The Quell excel at quantum mathematics. The Zephyrians create beautiful art. The granite beings are master builders. The audience included beings from across the galaxy. Blue Quell sat next to rocky granite representatives. Tall Zephyrians with their flowing robes mingled with small furry Kith refugees. We do not rule these species, Chanwu continued. We work with them as equals. This is how civilization should be. Dr. Hee-Jin Park, humanity's leading expert on energy beings, reported the most remarkable development yet. The ethereals had begun teaching humans directly, sharing knowledge from civilizations across the galaxy. They show us the history of species that faced the same choice we did, she explained. Most chose the path of conquest and fell into darkness. A few chose the path of wisdom and became gardeners of life throughout the galaxy. The ethereals offered humanity a chance to join this ancient brotherhood of protectors, but it came with a warning about the responsibility such power would bring. You must guard against the pride that destroyed the Council, Ethereal Prime communicated to the human leadership. Power must always serve wisdom, never the reverse. The test of humanity's resolve came when distress signals reached them from the Zephyrian homeworld. A plague was killing millions and Council scientists could not find a cure. The same species that had once voted for humanity's exile now begged for help. Some of our people want to ignore the call, admitted Admiral Dongmin Lee in a private meeting. They remember how the Zephyrians cheered when Colony 7 burned. Dr. Boram Lim, head of the Xenomedical Corps, had a different view. Innocent people are dying, children who had no say in what their government did. Can we become like the Council? Punishing the weak for the sins of the strong? The debate raged for days in the Colonial Assembly. Some argued that helping former enemies showed weakness. Others said that showing mercy proved humanity's moral superiority. In the end, President Chan Wu made the decision that would define humanity's future. We will help them, he announced. Not because they deserve it, but because it is who we choose to be. The rescue mission was prepared with careful planning. Dr. Boram worked with ethereal-enhanced equipment to create a cure that required genetic material from 17 different species, including humans. Strange, she murmured to her assistant Gun Wuhan. The very diversity they tried to eliminate is the only thing that can save them. As the human relief fleet prepared to depart, messages arrived from across the galaxy. Other species had heard of the mission and wanted to help. The alliance that humanity had built was offering aid to people who had once been their enemies. This is what the Council never understood, Chan Wu told the assembled crews. True strength does not come from making others fear you. It comes from making them trust you. The mission would be dangerous. Council forces might attack them. The Zephyrians themselves might reject human aid out of pride. But humanity had made their choice. They would be healers, not conquerors. They would be gardeners of civilization, not its destroyers. As the relief fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel, heading toward a world that had once celebrated their exile, humanity proved that they had truly learned the difference between peace through fear and peace through justice. The Council had taught them that the strong should rule over the weak. Now humanity would teach the galaxy what it meant for the strong to protect the weak instead. 5 years after the Great Exodus, Admiral Hyun-woo Park stood on the bridge of humanity's most advanced ship, the Justice's Dawn. He was no longer a diplomat trying to make peace with those who hated him. He had become something new, a protector of the innocent, a guardian of hope in a dark galaxy. The ship itself was a wonder that combined human engineering with ethereal wisdom. It could cross the galaxy in hours instead of months. Its weapons could defend against any attack, but they were designed to protect, not destroy. Its medical bays could heal injuries that other species thought impossible to cure. Approaching the Zephyrian homeworld, reported Navigation Officer Ye Jin Ko. Through the main view screen, they could see a world in crisis. The planet looked sick from space. Its normally blue oceans turned gray with pollution from the plague. Dr. Boram Lim worked frantically in the ship's advanced laboratories. She led the Xenomedical Corps, a group of doctors from dozens of species who had learned to work together. The cure she was developing required a perfect combination of human adaptability, ethereal energy manipulation, and genetic material from 17 different species. "It is ironic," she said to her assistant Gunwoo Han, as she mixed the final components. "The diversity they tried to destroy is the only thing that can save them." The Zephyrian system was crowded with ships. Council vessels floated helplessly around the dying world, their crews also infected by the plague they had come to study. Some of the most powerful beings in the galaxy were now as helpless as children. Captain Jun Seo Shin, who commanded the Justice's Dawn, opened communications to all ships in the system. "This is Admiral Park of the Human Alliance. We are here to help. All who need medical attention will receive it. No questions asked. No payment demanded." The response was immediate and desperate. Ship after ship called for aid. Even the proud council captains who had once treated humans like servants now begged for assistance. "Admiral," came a transmission from the council flagship. "This is Commander Veltos of the Centaurian Republic. Our medical officer is dying. Can you help us?" "Medical teams are on the way," Yunwoo replied without hesitation. Dr. Boram and her teams worked around the clock. They moved from ship to ship, treating aliens and humans alike. The cure worked perfectly, but it required careful application for each species' unique biology. On the planet's surface, the Zephyrian elder Krija waited at the main orbital station. His species' long tentacles trembled with both illness and emotion. When Hyunwoo arrived with the cure, the old alien could barely speak. "Why?" Krija whispered. "We voted for your exile. We cheered when your Colony 7 burned. Why save us?" Dr. Boram stepped forward carrying a glowing container filled with the cure that would save millions of lives. "Because someone has to be better than what came before." The cure spread quickly across the Zephyrian worlds. Within days, the dying were healthy again. Cities that had been full of despair now celebrated in the streets. Children played again in parks that had been empty for months. But the most remarkable change was in the hearts of the people. Zephyrians who had once hated humans now spoke of them as heroes. Council officers who had treated humanity as inferior now watched in amazement as human doctors saved their lives. "They could have let us die," admitted Council Intelligence Officer Signal. "After what we did to them, no one would have blamed them. Instead, they came to help." In the ship's meditation chamber, a being of pure light appeared. Ethereal Prime communicated directly with Captain Da-Yoon Song, humanity's first specialist in ethereal studies. "Your species has chosen wisely," the energy being said. "You show promise of joining the great work that spans galaxies. Not as conquerors, but as gardeners of civilization itself." The ethereals revealed more of their ancient mission. For millions of years, they had watched civilizations rise and fall. Most fell to the same patterns: fear, hatred, the belief that the strong should dominate the weak. But a few species transcended these failures to become something greater. "The galaxy has room for many forms of life," Ethereal Prime explained. "But it needs those who will protect life from those who would destroy it." As the Zephyrian crisis ended, news of humanity's mercy spread across the galaxy. Species that had never heard of humans began to whisper stories of the mysterious healers who appeared in times of need. The effect on council space was dramatic. Worlds that had been fighting each other suddenly began to question why they were at war. If humans could forgive their enemies, why couldn't other species do the same? The human example is spreading, reported Insu Chai from his observation post on the council homeworld. Species are starting to refuse orders to attack their neighbors. They ask why they should fight when humans choose to heal. Some council leaders tried to use humanity's return as propaganda. They claimed the humans had come crawling back, proving that the council was right all along. But their own people no longer believed such lies. If the council was right, asked a Velkari civilian, why did humans save our enemies instead of helping only themselves? The truth was becoming clear across the galaxy. Humanity had not returned out of weakness. They had returned out of strength. The strength to forgive, to heal, to protect those who could not protect themselves. As the Justices Dawn prepared to leave Zephyrian space, Admiral Hyunwoo made one final broadcast to the Council worlds. He knew it would be the last message humanity would ever send to their former allies. To those who still believe that peace comes through fear and domination, he said, his voice carrying across dozens of star systems, we offer this truth. We found a better way. He looked directly into the camera, thinking of the 3 million humans who had died on Colony 7, thinking of the 40 million more the Council had wanted to sacrifice. We became the civilization we wished to see among the stars. You taught us that peace was weakness. We have learned that true strength lies in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. His voice grew stronger as he continued. We do not forgive you, some wounds are too deep. But we have moved beyond the need for your acknowledgement. The galaxy is vast and there is room for all who choose cooperation over domination. The transmission showed images of humanity's new worlds, cities where dozens of species lived together in harmony, factories that produced goods freely shared, schools where children of different worlds learned together. This is humanity's final message to the Galactic Council, Hyunwoo concluded. We have turned away from your brand of peace and toward something better. May your descendants learn wisdom from your failures. As the transmission ended, the Justices Dawn jumped to faster-than-light travel, disappearing from Council sensors. They headed toward the Galactic Rim, where countless worlds waited for liberation, not through conquest but through example. Behind them, they left a galaxy beginning to change. The Zephyrians began reaching out to species they had once considered enemies. Former council members started forming new alliances based on mutual respect rather than fear. The old empire was dying, but from its ashes something better was being born. In humanity's distant home, President Chan Wu-yu addressed the Colonial Assembly one final time before retiring. Around him sat representatives from 63 species, all equal citizens of the alliance they had built together. 5 years ago, we left council space as refugees, he said. Today we return to the galaxy as gardeners of hope. We plant seeds of kindness wherever we go. We nurture civilizations that choose wisdom over violence. The applause that followed came from dozens of different species, each expressing joy in their own way. But they were all united in one belief, that the strong existed to protect the weak, not exploit them. Humanity had learned the hardest lesson of all, that true peace was not the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. It was not won through fear, but through hope. The Council had gone too far when they destroyed Colony 7. But in pushing humanity away from their corrupt version of peace, they had forced them to discover something far more precious. The peace that comes from building a civilization worthy of the stars themselves. The galaxy was vast and full of possibilities. And now, thanks to humanity's example, it was also full of hope.